And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I am talking with Amy Terry. Amy, thank you for squeezing me into your calendar.
Of course, I'm excited to be here.
It's going to be a great conversation. So, Amy she's a realtor. She's a broker. She's a real estate guru, really, who helps business owners and individuals learn how to build wealth through real estate. But she does it in lots of different ways. And so, hang with me today, because I want to dive in deep, because real estate's one of those great assets that I think scares a lot of people, Amy, and they don't know how to get started. And they're like, well, I don't have $300,000. Well, you probably don't need that, but I'm going to let you answer those questions. But as we get into this whole discussion, Amy, tell me, how in the world did you get to doing what you do today?
Sure. So I actually had zero ambition to get into the real estate world. But my best friend growing up, her mom was in real estate and got us a job after school answering phones at her office. So it started there, scheduling showings, answering phones. Then I graduated, went to the University of Colorado at Boulder, and just started working at a branch in Boulder of the same office. Again, still no interest, pre-law, planning to go to law school the whole time, interned with the DA. And then graduation was approaching. I got my law school acceptance, and I didn't tell anybody for like 2 weeks. And I think it was a good kind of gut check of like, is this really what I want to do? And so I, went to my parents, and then I went to an agent that I was working for as his assistant during college, who I just really trusted his advice. And we talked about the pros and cons, and ultimately decided, let's do a 1-year deferment on my acceptance to law school, get my real estate license. He could use the help. So I graduated in May, got my license in July, started working with him, and that was almost 18 years ago. Wow. So just kind of took off from there, never went to law school. I still think about it once in a while now for real estate. But because I got my license so young, I bought my first property at 23 because I felt like a fraud selling real estate if I didn't own any. So I bought a little short sale condo that my dad helped me fix up, and a friend from college moved in and rented the spare bedroom. And she was paying more a month than I was for this property that I owned, and I was like hooked. So from there, I just kind of built a real estate portfolio and then kind of kept diving into all the different aspects and ways to make money in real estate.
Very, very cool. So that was a few years ago, but I love what you said there is really you dove in. You bought a property and you rented out a bedroom. And so you were living in the other bedroom or the other part of the house?
Yep.
Okay. So let's dive in there, because a lot of business owners, I mean, they could do that, or they could buy a property and rent it out and talk about, you don't have to get nitty gritty and things, but the leverage ability of buying a property. And then I've heard some people say, I just buy a property a year or a property every other year, and just talk some concepts like that, because I think a lot of people just don't understand real estate in all the different ways they can do it.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't, there's a lot of really creative ways, and I don't really believe in any kind of get rich quick with real estate. It's just smart investing over time. But yeah, I mean, the first thing is I really encourage people to buy as soon as they can. Know that it's not your dream home. You're just getting your foot in the door. You're purchasing a property. If you can purchase something with room for roommates, even better. And then from there, the best way, I believe, for people to get their first investment property is to turn their primary residence into a rental and then move into their new primary. And the reason for that is because the down payment requirement is much smaller on a primary residence. Your interest rate is going to be much better than if you buy it as an investment property. And so you're able to build that portfolio quicker with less money out of pocket and better payments. So when you buy something as a primary, you only have to live there for a year, and then you can rent it out and you get to keep that same primary residency interest rate. And that's really how I built a lot of my properties, is continually moving and upgrading homes and just keeping what I had already purchased.
That's just brilliant. We can be done. That's enough right there. No, we don't really. I'm like, I don't know. Honestly, I mean, I've read a lot of real estate books. I'm not sure if I've heard anybody talking about that basic concept of saying, here's what we're going to do. I mean, my eldest son's 28. He and his wife just bought their first house outside of Nashville. It's not their dream home, but that concept right there, I could see working for them, because it's in a great area for rentals. And now in 3 years or whatever, they buy another one. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's, without getting into the nitty gritty, there are so many ways to still utilize that equity because a lot of people are like, well, we need the money out of that house or we need to qualify. And there's a lot of ways around that. And it's just, I think the simplest way to build the portfolio of real estate.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we'll just pause right there because when we're done, Amy's going to tell you how to get a hold of her and get more information. Because what you bring to the table, Amy, is not only like, lots of experience doing it, but you're dare I say, and I don't like the word coach, but you're a resource for somebody who's thinking about doing this. Go, I'm scared, or I don't understand, or I need this, and you're like, well, you know what? There are 6 ways you can get around that. Did you know that? I was like, no. And I don't have to go read all the books, right? I can actually
Yes.
talk to a real person.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And I think, I go into more listing appointments and talk them out of selling than I take listings. And that's what I get excited about is helping people build wealth. It's not about closing the deal. It's about having clients that I have helped them
Yeah.
over the years build wealth and help reach their goals. So I get excited about helping people build a portfolio, not necessarily getting the deal. So that's why I have a lot of clients that tease me about turning down listings all the time.
I love it. All right. So we're going to talk about your book when this is all done. And the title of your book is Don't Sell Your House.
Yes, 100%.
That's great. That's great. All right. Some of the benefits of investing in real estate to build wealth. It's not short term always. It can be. I know you've done some house flipping. Talk about
Correct.
the different, I guess, that buying, holding, give our audience the understanding if you're going to do this to build wealth, what are some basic fundamentals, I guess, that we need to think about?
Sure. So the reason that I'm not a huge fan of, to me, they're two very different animals. I will never sell a property that I own because the reality is I will never be able to replace it for what I paid for it. And especially now where we have, hopefully everyone's locked in interest rates at 3 or 4%, to give up those is crazy as well. So it is a slower grow, but the long-term wealth is really, I think, the best way to build long-term wealth and massive wealth. Flipping is exciting and some people enjoy it. And there's a quick, you can make, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 in 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
It is also extremely risky.
Yes.
So that's where you have to ask people, what is your risk tolerance? Are you okay if you lose money on this and you're super stressed out for a year?
Yeah.
I've built a spec house and it was a good experience, but I worked my tail off for 18 months and lost about $10,000.
Yeah.
So, I think for flipping, on HGTV, they make it look real easy. They come in 24 hours and knock out these projects. There's so many underlying things that can come up in flipping. You have to have really great crews that you rely on. And it can be for people that I have a client that he used to flip about 30 houses a year. He had 5 full-time crews. He bought everything in bulk. Those can be super profitable, but the one-off, it's tough. I get a lot of buyers that are like, we really want to fix this house up. What's better is buy a fixer, fix it up and either live in it or rent it.
Yeah.
That is, in my opinion, the fastest way to grow wealth.
Yeah. So instead of buy and flip, it's buy and hold, really, is what you're
Correct.
talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the piece that I think people don't think about either is that starts to compound. And then there's a lot of places that will give you a line of credit based on all of your properties. So I think some people think, well, I'm never going to be able to use that equity. Like, yes, I've got, 400,000 in my asset, but I can't use it. That's not true. A lot of people will look at, let's say you have 3 or 4 properties, they can give you a line of credit for $1 million to go buy another one based on that equity. So I'm also all about leverage, which is, everyone's different comfort level on that. But until, I like to have people choose, how many properties would you like to have? We're going to leverage to the hilt until we hit that number, and then we're going to pay them down as fast as we can.
Yeah.
So there's just so many, by keeping the property, it's so much more long-term opportunity than that quick buck of flipping a property.
Yeah. And, all right. So let's talk about this because this is the other thing about that scares the daylights out of people in buying and holding. And I don't want to be a landlord. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Address that because there's the elephant in
Sure.
the room.
100%. Yeah. I have a property manager because I don't have the personality. If someone couldn't make rent, I'd probably ask them if they need grocery money.
Right.
I don't want to manage that stuff either. I'm also not handy personally, so I'm not going to run over to fix a leak in the middle of the night. I don't know nationwide, but in Colorado, the standard fee is about 10% a month. So when we're looking at properties, we're working that into the numbers and making sure that you're breaking even or cash flowing with a 10% management fee.
Yeah.
And then honestly, for me, I have one account where all the payments are going out and the rent's coming in, and I don't even look at it. And that money just kind of stacks throughout the year.
Yeah.
So we call it wake up money. You get that money for just waking up that morning.
Eh,
And you have to find a good property manager. Mine walk through the property every quarter so that we make sure there's not people or animals that aren't supposed to be there, that it's being taken care of. And also, that's kind of getting into the weeds, but also looking at where you purchase. Like I own in pretty affluent neighborhoods because I want easy tenants. But the
Absolutely.
cash flow is not as great as maybe a rougher neighborhood. So
Right.
lots to look at, but yeah, property manager, if the numbers make sense that you can have a property manager, it really can be mindless. You don't have to deal with the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. Which is really good because business owners were busy, but we've got some wealth. What are you going to do? That's a great way to do it. Pay somebody to do it. And yes, it's going to eat into your cash flow, but it's going to save you on stress and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And
so
you get
much
the appreciation. And if you've got a good tenant that's going to be there, it just all starts, playing out. Then you think legacy, because you've built, let's say in your time, you've built 20 house, you've got 20 houses that are in your portfolio, and now it's time to retire. Okay. What do you do? I mean, give me some options. I've got 20 houses. Do I sell them? Do I keep them? Do I legacy them to my kids? What?
Yeah. So, I mean, my best advice is to just hold on to those, because once they're free and clear and rents go up every year, you're going to get a raise every year. I mean, that will be my retirement income, is my rental income. So that is the best option. If for some reason you do want to liquidate, you do have to think about you're going to pay taxes on that the capital gains tax. There are some options to do 1031 exchanges, but that doesn't really make sense at that point because you've got to roll that into another property.
Yeah.
But I have had some people that have rentals and they want to roll it into a dream second home in Vail or something like that, a retirement home. So yeah, I mean, my best advice would be to hold on to those properties forever. Let your kids inherit those properties. They will continue to get cash flow. Your grandkids. I mean, it can create generational wealth 100%.
Yeah, it really can. And the cool thing about real estate is it's usually here to stay. And it's going to appreciate over time. I mean, there's always dips and things, but by and large, over time, real estate continues to go up. And I don't care where you are, everybody needs a place to live.
100%.
So yes, it's you're going to have it, and like you said, rents go up. It's like giving yourself a pay raise every year. You're going to get a pay raise of some nature, and you're providing a great service to people. It's a fairly safe investment. I mean, there are always ways to lose money.
100%. Yeah.
But when you look at real estate over time and the number of people who've generated wealth, and a lot of times it's the guy next door who started early, like Amy has.
Yeah.
Bought some houses. And the cool thing is you can start pretty young. You were young when you bought your first house. So speak to that either the young entrepreneur or the son or daughter of the person listening now to go, how do you encourage that college age kid, first time home to not rent maybe, but to buy? What do you do?
Yeah. So I think some of the biggest fears I talk to with young people is like, what if I can't make a payment? And I said, well, have you ever missed a rent payment? And usually the answer is no. And I said, it's just the same. I mean, you're making a payment monthly, except you're paying off your own mortgage versus your landlord's. And get into a payment that you feel comfortable. And then the other piece is maintenance. So I think a really great place to start is a condo. The reality is an HOA is going to take care of all the exterior, the landscaping, the insurance, the roof, the siding. So really your biggest expense would be if the furnace or hot water heater goes out, and be prepared for that. And then as far as financing for first home buyers, there's a lot of programs where you can do 0% down or up to 5% down. So, I mean, you can really get into a property. And, if you're talking about children, I have a lot of people that even with interest rates where they are now, if they've got cash sitting around, they provide a loan for their child at an agreed upon interest rate. You can record a note and deed of trust. You're making income on that money that's just sitting there. You're allowing your child to buy a property cash. So there are a lot of avenues, but yeah, I think the biggest thing is really just thinking about what scares you about owning
Mhm.
and then kind of working backwards of how you solve those. And the other piece I really, lay on is with rent goes up every year. So if you're worried about financing and having to make monthly payments, at least whatever you agree upon, you're locked in for 30 years. That's not going to change.
Yeah.
In Denver, we've really unfortunately seen it, people getting priced out. Rents go up 2, 3, 4, 500 a year. They can no longer stay there.
Yeah.
So, buying is actually a very safer and secure option once you get over the fears of it.
Yeah. And that's good. And that's all the more reason to reach out to Amy and have these conversations with her, because what she's talking about is a framework, a mindset. It's how you're thinking about creating long-term wealth. And so many times we get on the wrong side of that equation. I'm not sure if I can do it. And you're like, well, how many times have you missed a payment? Well, there's a real simple question.
Yeah.
And what kind of lifestyle and all this, to be able to have somebody like Amy in your corner to say, here's what I'm thinking about doing. And how can you, Amy, help me build long-term wealth when I'm 28 and I've got a wife and 2 kids? What does that look like? Well, I bet Amy's been there. I bet she's helped a lot of people to say, here's what you need to be thinking about. Here's some options, and helping you create that long-term buy and hold process. I really like
Mhm.
that, because that takes a lot of fear out of it, to know this is, well, dare I say, better than your 401k, but it's different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little, well, yeah. Personally, I think it's safer.
Yeah. Fortunately, we're not giving financial advice here, but I
Yes.
really
Yes.
am intrigued by building long-term wealth through real estate. Amy, how does somebody reach out to you, or have a conversation, or ask questions, or get more information about you? And if this has intrigued them a bit and they're like, okay, she talked about a couple things that were different, how do they reach out to you?
Sure, sure. So just really simple old school, you can email me, which is just amyterry@8z.com. The other option is you can find me on Instagram, and from there I have a link tree that you can set an appointment with me, a call, learn more information about me in general, and that is Amy Terry 8Z Realtor.
Excellent. I love it. And 8Z, explain to the audience why it's
Sure.
8Z.
Yeah, so we're a Colorado homegrown brokerage, and the name 8Z came from all the zip codes in Colorado start with the number 8.
I think that's great. When I saw that, I thought that's really fun. So anyway, go check out our website. It's a really good website too. Y'all have done great work there. But I'm going to have that, what you just talked about, in the show notes, so people can reach out if they're driving or exercising right now. They can go to the show notes, find out about Amy Terry, and how she can help you build long-term wealth using real estate. I mean, she can help you do a lot of other things too. She's obviously a successful realtor. If you're buying in Colorado, you need to just talk to her anyway. But she does a lot of mentoring with realtors and things. So she's just
Yeah.
got this real estate portfolio, but she has this business career portfolio that she does a lot of things. We just scratched the surface today. Amy, thank you for being my guest on Expert Speak.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much.